One of the saints that we celebrate in the United States, who was actually born in Bohemia, we celebrate him in the beginning of January. His name is Saint John Neumann. Saint John Neumann was a highly educated man who traveled from Bohemia to the United States. And the primary reason for this trip was that in his country there were too many priests. I've never heard that before. Having so many priests that he had to leave his country to go to another country where there were not sufficient priests. And he ends up in the United States, in New York. And he's ordained a priest, and eventually he's going to become a Redemptorist priest, which is the congregation of the Most Holy Redeemer formed by St. Alphonsus Maria Liguori. Then eventually the Holy Father is going to call him to become the bishop of the city of Philadelphia. The point I'd like to make here is vocations. Jesus says that the harvest is rich, but the laborers are few. Beg the Lord of the harvest to send more workers for the vineyard. So I'd like to briefly speak about 3 things we can do to foster a growth in vocations to the priesthood as well as to the religious life. First is, as Jesus says, to pray. We should pray. We should offer up prayers that God would send more workers. And the Curé of Ars says this: there's no priest, there's no Mass. There's no Mass, there's no Eucharist. No Eucharist, there's no Christ. If that's the case, then we end up by being spiritual orphans. Second thing we can do is to invite young men that seem to have inclinations to the priesthood or the religious life. Invite them to reflect upon the possibility of the priesthood or the religious vocation. Many are probably thinking, but they have to be invited. The third is indirectly to try to form good families. Pope John Paul II says that the first seminary is the family. From wholesome, holy, joyful, well-formed families will often come future priests to work in the vineyard of the Lord.